All right, today we will be going through questions 20 through 54 on the review. We're going to start with number 20. Write each in if-then form. So our statement is all rectangles have four sides. Remember, it has to start with if. So if a figure is a rectangle, then it has four sides. Okay, remember our statement after the if is going to be a hypothesis. After the then is our conclusion. Next one, angle n is obtuse when its measure is 117 degrees. So if measure of angle n is 117 degrees, then the angle is obtuse. Again, hypothesis is after the if, and the angle is obtuse is the part after the then, which is the conclusion. Alright, moving on to factoring. So, to factor, our first step is to always look for a GCF. So anything that goes into 3x squared, 25x, and 18. Now all three terms don't have an x. In all three terms you cannot take out a 3. You could take out a 3 here and in the last term, but you cannot take it out of the 25. So we're going to multiply the 3 times the negative 18, which gives us a negative 54. Okay, think of factors that multiply to 54, and we're looking for 2 that add to negative 25. Okay, that middle term here. So 1 and 54, remember 1 has to be negative, and it doesn't matter which one. 2 and 27, if the 27 is negative, that one will work. So the first term stays 3x squared. The middle term splits into negative 27x, positive 2x, and the last term stays as negative 18. Okay, now we're looking for a GCF in the first two. 3x squared and negative 27x, I can take out a 3x, and I'm left with, if I take out a 3x in the first, I get an x, 3x and negative 27x, negative 9. Okay, next two terms, what's the greatest common factor of 2x and negative 18? I'm going to take out a positive 2. If I take out a positive 2, I'm left with x minus 9. Okay, remember these two should match. If they match, we're doing it right. We have x minus 9, and then the leftover part is the 3x plus 2. And now that is completely factored. Remember, I don't solve because it does not equal 0. Okay, so that's my final answer for 22. Moving on to 23. Now 23 does have a GCF. Looking at the first term, 3x to the third, negative 30x squared, and 72x, I can take out a 3x in all three terms. So if I take out a 3x, I'm left with x squared minus 10x plus 24. Okay, this one I'm going to do the shortcut with because 1 times 24 is 24, and that is my last term here. Factors of 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 6 and 4. Looks like 6 and 4, if they're both negative, I get negative 10. So I'm going to put 3x here. Again, this is the shortcut way. This is going to be x minus 6 and x minus 4. Okay, and that's my final answer factor. Moving on to 24, this is going to be a difference of two squares. I first have to look again for a GCF. So it looks like a 3 goes into both. Pull out the 3 in front. I'm left with a 4x squared minus 49. Okay, now this is a difference of two squares because we have a difference here, and we could take the square root of the 4x squared and the square root of the 49. Square root of 4x squared is 2x, and then remember the 2x goes here, and then the square root of 49 is plus 7 and minus 7. Okay, don't forget about that 3 that we took out in the beginning. That has to also stay in the front. Okay, so that's my final answer there. Moving on to 25, solve each equation by factoring. So for this one, I'm going to have an x equals for all my answers. Usually I have more than one. 2 for quadratics, 3 for cubics, and so on. So to first solve, I have to get it into this form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now these don't have to be plus, they could also be subtracting, but I have to have coefficients a, b, and c before I start factoring, and then I can solve. So I'm going to move this 27 over to this side. To do that, I have to subtract the 27. So my new equation is going to be 5x squared minus 27x plus 10 equals 0. Alright, so this problem I have to factor the long way. I'm going to multiply the 5 and the 10. So I have 50, and we're trying to find factors of 50 that add to negative 27. Okay, so 1 and 50, 2 and 25. That looks like it'll work if both of them are negatives. So remember, the first one stays the same. This one splits into negative 2x, negative 25x, positive 10. Okay, we're going to group what goes into 5x squared and negative 2x, and only just pull out an x. And I'm left with a 5x minus 2. Okay, looking at the next two, what can I pull out? We have a negative 25x and a 10. Well, since the first term's negative, I'm going to pull out a negative 5. Okay, remember these two should match. So 25 divided by negative 5, 5x. 10 divided by negative 5, negative 2. Okay, now my two factors are going to be x minus 5 and 5x minus 2. Not done yet. What I have to do is set them both equal to 0. So x minus 5 equals 0, 5x minus 2 equals 0, and go ahead and solve. Add 5, x equals 5, add 2, 5x equals 2, divided by 5, and we have x equals 2/5. So those are my answers for number 25.